Alright, so it's been a while since I've checked up on Jujutsu Kaisen. Ever since the big 1 month hiatus Akatami Sensei took a while back, I believe in August, maybe September or so of last year, I kind of fell off on the manga and was just waiting for a certain amount of chapters to build up so that I could enjoy where I left off on, which was at the very beginning of the current arc that is taking place of the Culling games. And to say the least, this arc has been very interesting so far, with the vast amount of new characters popping up after every chapter or so, and introducing new abilities that honestly have been some of the most creative and well thought out prowesses since what feels like the early days of the big three. And to have a take on what feels like essentially a battle royale in a manga, especially in a Shonen Jump series, is kind of a trope we should see a lot more in my personal opinion. Not that we haven't seen it done before, but with how Jujutsu Kaisen is approaching it, to me it's just a lot more accurate to what feels like a real grasp on the genre. And I feel like ever since the introduction of what the Culling games is, things in the world of Jujutsu Kaisen have just been building up, and you can see how the setup is there for a longitude of the characters all making their move to defeating Kenjaku and saving anyone from being heard of the Culling games, on top of releasing Satoru Gojo, which by the way, man has been stuck in a box for almost 800 days I think real time now, which is absolutely crazy. And as always though, before we hop into the video any further, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you have not already, that way you can keep up with all your favorite anime and manga content. And don't forget to also turn on the bell notifications, that way you stay up to date with everything anime and manga here on the channel. So I think without further ado, let's dive into a little of everything surrounding the Culling games in Jujutsu Kaisen, from what the Culling games are, to my current thoughts on the recent chapters of the story, and what the future holds and what will turn out from the Culling games in Jujutsu Kaisen. So to get things started, the purpose of the Culling game is to initiate the merging process, which according to the rules of the game can be altered at any time during the game. And our main cast's only option is to participate in order to achieve their goal of stopping any sort of merging process. Along with that, they must find a way to release Gojo in the mix. So essentially, they're kind of in no place to bargain, and in order to achieve any sort of goal, they will need help from other Jujutsu sorcerers participating in the Culling game. Specifically, as of right now, Hiromi Huguruma, which has already been sort of a success with Yuji's fight with him, and Hana Kurusu and her ability to erase curse techniques. But if you didn't already know, the Culling game is a deathmatch between sorcerers and non-sorcerers, also known as players. After joining the game, each player will have to kill other players to gain points and survive. The game has already set a total of 8 rules, but like I mentioned earlier, players can add a new rule to the game if they have enough points to afford. But before a new rule is added, they are taken by review from the game organizer. As of recently though, the 2 new rules that were added, meaning there are a total of 10 as of this recording, were both from Hajime Kashimo and Hiromi Huguruma, both allowing viewing of information on other players and the ability to now transfer points from one player to another. And it's sometimes difficult to work around gathering points though, because obviously taking another life is something some of the participants don't want to do, mainly of course Yuji after the Shibuya incident arc, but for others it's really not too much of an issue if needed to be done, and that's been very apparent as of late. But recently, ever since I decided to hop back on Jujutsu Kaisen, the current binge of everything in the Tokyo #1 Colony arc has been honestly really enjoyable. A vast amount of the arc consists of fights and intimidating and comedic dialogue depending on the character of course, and like I said, towards the start of the video, we've been introduced to a lot more characters with a set of unique and interesting abilities that have led for a very entertaining experience. I almost want to say it's like an innovative point of view on fights in a shonen manga in a way. The attributes that are being taken into effect have caused so much action, and I'm really enjoying that, especially because of it being a shonen series obviously. And for the majority, it's been with our 2 main characters being both Yuji Itadori and Megumi Fushiguro, and if I had to pick, I'd say Megumi has been definitely the one I've been leaning towards when it comes to enjoyment from this last arc or so. I know Ronan will be glad to hear that. But the performance by both their characters is sure showing their growth throughout the series by overcoming obstacles and not making any of the same mistakes a second time I guess. And you could definitely see from the Shibuya incident arc how someone like Yuji is approaching things a lot more strategically now, especially in his fight with Higuruma, in a fight where it's all about playing with your mental and not your physical strength. That is until you break through the trial, in which it's all hand-to-hand combat from there. And I hope this isn't the last we see from Higuruma by the way, because without a doubt he's such an intriguing character with again such a unique set of abilities. And when it comes to Megumi and his fight with Reggie Star and I guess his gang, let's just say to get to the points he needed, the man had to stop pulling his punches a bit. I mean, a lot of the people he encountered were all decently leveled point grabbers, but just nothing comparable to the likes of Megumi and I guess Fumihiko. But throughout that, those 2 key component fights have been greatly paced and filled with intriguing abilities, and again, I just hope that the trope of these new innovative abilities doesn't die down with just these 2 sorcerers moving forward. But other than everything we know thus far though, what's to come next in the Culling game? I mean, with how things are looking right now, with the end of the first act of the Culling games being the Tokyo #1 colony arc, we are now heading into the Sendai colony, which is also starting off strong by giving us a showing of brand new characters and a familiar face that has immensely honed their skills and is showing why they're no less than a special grade with Satoru Gojo and the rest, that of course being Yuta Akotsu, with his tremendous amount of strength along with Rika. Now, I don't really expect anything out of the ordinary from Yuta. I believe he's going to be dealing with his district fairly well. We might see a match that goes against his abilities, but that just gives him sort of a challenge, but I don't think it's anything we can't see him pull through from. As for Maki though, we've seen her defeat Naoya and the rest of the Zenin clan, in doing so retrieving the cursed tools needed for the exhibition. Going forward, I don't really know if she will be a main focus until later on during the Culling games. I'm not really too sure. I'd like to see more of her, especially with how she has changed over these past few arcs or so, but that we'll just have to see. Same goes for Chozo and Yuki, mainly just because they're the ones guarding Tengen as of right now, and I don't really think they'll be playing too big of a role until the time is necessary. So that just leaves us with both Yuji Itadori and Megumi Fushiguro, which so far we've seen tremendous feats from, and I think with how the pacing of the story is going right now, this arc as it is already will be introducing tons of more characters as the Culling games goes on, both friends and foes alike, to add on to the expansion of the world of Jujutsu Kaisen. I'm also curious if we're going to see a minor interruption that leads into the Falling arc maybe of the series, just like how they did during the Kyoto Goodwill event arc. With how everything is going though, we're still quite early on in the arc from the looks of things, and to predict where things are headed might be quite tricky, but honestly that's alright, because that's what I'm looking forward to see the most in the series. The unpredictability of the series, because honestly within a battle royale anything can happen, and that's just what makes things so much more interesting. So who knows what's really in store for what's to come in the Culling games in Jujutsu Kaisen. But with that everyone, I think that about wraps things up. This has been Augie. As always, make sure if you enjoyed the video to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. It truly does go lengths in helping me pursue YouTube and all that fun stuff. And also take into account to let me know your thoughts on the recent chapters and everything going forward in Jujutsu Kaisen. And don't forget to turn on the bell notifications, that way you never miss out on one of your favorite anime and manga videos. And with that everyone, my Twitter is @AnimeAugie, and I'll make sure to catch each and every single one of you guys in the next video. Peace.